Symbols are little snippets of artwork that you create and then you can save and then you can use repeatedly. So let's create a little illustration, just a real stylized tree. Okay, just something like this. I'll fill it with a brown color. And then from the library, the symbols library, let's choose one of these leaves. We can add them both. But we'll start with one or the other. Okay, so we're going to use this leaf, and I'm going to use my symbol sprayer tool. And you can use your brackets just as you would with the paintbrushes to make this area of, I call it the area of influence. I'm sure there's another name for it, but you can just move it around. I'm holding down the mouse and I'm adding instances of this leaf. Then I can go to the symbol shifter tool and click and drag and move the leaves around. So this doesn't feel very intuitive when you first begin. I thought this was the weirdest tool when I first tried it, but it's actually a lot of fun to play around with. So that's the shifter. Scruncher tool will pull everything in tight, or if you hold the Option key, it'll do just the opposite. It'll spread it out. You hold down your mouse, spread it way out, or pull everything back in. A lot of these tools, if you hold down the modifier Option, it'll do exactly the opposite. That worked with the sizer. So by default, it'll make things bigger. Hold down the Option key and it'll make things smaller. Spinner will rotate the instances so everything doesn't feel so, well, so you can get some randomness into it so it feels a little bit more natural. Okay, stainer would be if we want to change the color. So I'm going to give myself some, I'll try some like deep red maybe. And maybe I'll switch it into a dark green. So you can add color, or if you hold down the Option key, you can suck color out. We also have the screener tool, which will make the objects transparent or translucent. Hold down the Option key to bring back the opacity. This. Now we're just going to create some bubbles. I don't think fish actually make bubbles unless they're like whales or mammals, but we're going to make some bubbles coming up out of this fish here. All right, so I'm going to use the ellipse tool and I'm going to create my symbol first. So this is going to be like a bubble. So I'm going to, I'll move in close here. I'm going to give it no stroke, but I want to give it a gradient. So I'll just start out with the grayscale gradient, no stroke. Open up my gradient panel. And I'm going to make it some blues, a dark blue. And then I'm going to have another one here that's kind of a lighter blue. And then I'll go with white. I'm going to change it to radial. And then use the gradient tool to click and drag to change that hotspot. So it feels more three-dimensional. It feels a bit more like a ball. In this case, it's going to be a bubble. We got a little highlight there. Okay, this will be our bubble. So I'm just going to click this and drag it into my symbols. I'll make it a static symbol and say, okay, you could name it bubble. And then you can actually get rid of the artwork. Once you have the symbol in the symbols library here, you don't need the original one anymore. Then I'm going to use the sprayer tool. Let me zoom out here, and I will make my area of influence a little smaller and put some bubbles in like that. Then I'm going to use the sizer to change the sizes. So hold down the Option key to make some of these smaller. And maybe make these bigger so they're coming up closer to the surface, perhaps. I'll use the shifter to move them around a little bit. I won't use the spinner because I want to keep the highlight on that side because I think it'll look more realistic. But I'm going to have some of them overlap and then change the screen so that they feel kind of transparent. And then you can use the opacity, the Option key to bring back the opacity on some of them.